What is happening, interwebs? What's up, Restoration Nation? Restoration Rebels, welcome. This is Andy McCabe, and you are watching or listening to the Restoration Rebel Roundtable for the 27th of June, 2024. I think I've got a feeling I'm going to be flying solo tonight because there's going to be quite a few people in this great nation of ours watching two old men try to prove their relevance on the national stage. So good luck with that. I myself am going to record this, and this will be out on the Claim Clinic podcast for now, and you guys can watch it later. But I'm still going to go through the motions here because that's what I do. First, let's do the do like we do every single week here at the Restoration Rebel Roundtable. Here we go. These are the 4 Rebel agreements. Agreement number 1, I will protect the value of my services. Offering free services only serves to erode the value of similar services industry-wide. Agreement number 2, I will practice incredible transparency. I will explain the claim process to my client. I will not hide pricing details or falsify reports. I will never communicate with an adjuster without also communicating with my client. Agreement number 3, I do not believe in competition. And I really, really believe this. This is a core tenet of what we do here at the Rebels. Number 3, I do not believe in competition. The restoration companies in my market are part of my community. I will be an active member of my community. It is our unbreakable unity that will create the change that we strive for. And agreement number 4, I'm willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that is not compatible with my values and stated mission. No relationship is worth losing money, sleep, or my humanity. So there is that. There is that. I'm going to switch it up again a little bit. I'm actively looking for sponsors. In the meantime, this episode of the Restoration Rebel Roundtable is brought to you by Quick Check. If you're interested in remote estimating, if you're interested in how to up your game, your documentation game on the mitigation side of life, if you want some help defending your invoices and collecting your money, Quick Check is where it's at. Our army of professional Xactimate writers and claims dudes and dudettes is waiting for you to give us a call. So DM me if you want to learn more. In the meantime, I don't know if you're going to notice down here in the lower right hand corner, right is not over there. There's something called the Restoration Roadshow. I did the first 2 episodes, at least recorded the first 2 episodes of the Restoration Roadshow this past week. One was at Allied Restoration with OP Almaraz in West Covina, California. I didn't know that was a town until I was there. And the second episode was with, I was split between Cole and Mr. Seth over at Actionable Insights down in San Diego. Those podcast episodes and those videos are in the can. I'm going to produce them out there and get them out there shortly. What I'd like to do this year, I'd like to take this show on the road and literally talk to restorers. I want to sit down with restorers. I want to listen and understand the markets and the industry that we all live and breathe every day. I want to get the stories from you guys. I want to share our story, our collective story out there with the rest of the world, because I truly believe that restoration is one of the most important industries in the world, especially with this whether you believe in it or not. Climate change is happening, and storms are getting more violent. Storms are getting more frequent, and damages are happening at a larger scale. And who's there to clean up the pieces? We are. So I think our story needs to be told. I think the rest of the country, the rest of the world needs to hear from restorers on what it means to restore lives, what it means to be a part of this wonderful craziness that we call the restoration industry. But I can't do that on my own. I can't do that by running a free Facebook group. I need sponsors. So here's my first shout out, my first call out. I'm actively looking for sponsors, manufacturers, software providers. Uh, I'm going to make my own phone calls, but if you guys have any ideas of, hey, I think I know a company that would like to back something like this. I think I know a company that want to have their name all over the messaging and the stories that I'm going to tell this year about restores. I'm going to start my next leg of the Restoration Roadshow in Idaho, in a place called Sandpoint, Idaho. I've got an opportunity to be up there, so I'm going to look up the restorers there. And I might stop in Spokane because I've had to fly into Spokane anyway. I'm going to talk to a couple of restorers there. So that's going to be the first set of podcasts that I'm going to record. And once again, if it sounds something like interesting to you, if you think of a sponsor that might want to throw some money behind this sort of venture, hit me up. So that's not what we're here to talk about. What's up, Pete? Mr. Santiago is in his house. And then, yes, thank you for the early reminder of what it is to be a restoration professional. Early reminder. I'm not sure what that means, Matt, but thanks, bro. Thank you, man. And of course, yes, indeed. So tonight, we're going to talk about collections. I mentioned our sponsor, Quick Check. We have a department that we call claims support. And part of that department's task is to make sure that you, the restorer, gets paid in full for the work that you do. So we're going to talk about collections. What does that even mean? Why is it so hard? Why is it so damned hard to get paid these days? I'm telling you, it didn't used to be like this. I started in this industry in the year 2000, 2001. Even up through the early 2010s, it was a different game. As long as you did good work, you documented well, and you were honest, frankly, you could get paid in a timely fashion. None of this 90 days, 120 days, 2 freaking years. I had a restorer on the horn today that said, "Yeah, I just got paid on something from 9 years ago." That's just stupid, right? That's just ridiculous. 9 years ago, that money is worthless, right? Even if you got paid in full for whatever you built. So I'm gonna just shoot from the hip here. I'm gonna go through the 4 collections rules as I've kind of laid them out a little bit, and then talk about it. But as always, if you got some comments, put them up there. I'll answer them. You got some questions, I'll try to answer them live. If you're in the Restoration Rebel group, there is a link to get in on this action. Come on screen and share the love. But in the meantime, I'm going to start down this collections road, whatever. I didn't know there was a debate tonight between 2 old men. Yeah, I might have just put this whole thing off. Whatever. That's what record is for, right? Okay. Rule number 1. Never assume the carrier or adjuster will voluntarily do the right thing. Pete, I will answer that question. Yeah, I'll answer that question. Maybe. I'm not the best at restoration marketing. So here we go. Never assume the carrier or adjuster will voluntarily do the right thing. What does that even mean? It means that we have this dangerous assumption in our industry that if we can only get the adjuster to understand the facts, if we can only get the adjuster to really see actually what happened, then they will do the right thing. They will pay the claim accordingly. And The number of Wardlaw, AccuServe, Fast Team responses that I respond to on a daily basis tells me that the adjuster is never going to do the right thing. They've already co-opted. When you get an email from Wardlaw, the adjuster has already co-opted their responsibility to settle this claim in good faith to a third party. They are already not doing the right thing voluntarily. So what's that put on us? Well, we have to force them. How do we force them? There's the three L's, as I call it: late fees, liens, and lawsuits. Really, when you break it down, those are the only real three things that we have as leverage in in insurance claims, because we are not party to the claim unless we have an assignment of benefits, which puts a little different flavor to it. But even assignment of benefits has its limitations. But if you do the work, you document it well, and you show your documentation, you show your work, and you bill, and you have a good contract in place, you can charge late fees. You can file a lien if you're not paid in time. And you can sue. Ultimately, if you have an AOB, you're going to be able to sue the carrier. If you don't have an AOB, you're going to have to sue the insured. But guess what? They're the ones that hired you. So claim collections rule number one is how you have to have a tight contract. You have to know that you are operating from the high ground, the moral high ground, and the contractual high ground. If your contract is garbage, you're not going to be able to apply leverage. You're not going to be able to force the carrier to do the right thing. All right, let's go to rule number two. The customer can't pay an invoice they never received. I've had people say, well, duh. And then I say, duh, you would not believe today, in this day and age, there are still contractors who do restoration work, and still they never send an invoice to their client. Why don't you send an invoice to your client? Well, I don't know if that's going to be the full amount. Wait, you don't know if the bill that you put together for the work that you did is going to get paid in full? You're assuming that you have to go through this negotiating process or this approval process before you can finalize your bill. There is a lot to unpack there, and there's a lot that's wrong with that whole mentality of I'm going to send my package to the adjuster without sending an invoice to my client so I can get approval. Let me tell you right now, you're never going to get full approval if you ask. That's why we don't ask, right? And so I'll get involved. Somebody will call me and say, hey, I've got $50,000 out there, and I did the work 3 months ago. And I'll say, all right, well, show me the invoice. Well, I haven't put one together yet. Okay, you haven't put an invoice together yet, but you say you're owed $50,000, but you never billed anyone for it. How does that compute, people? It doesn't. It just plain doesn't. Send an invoice on day one. As soon as you demobilize, you should be able to put together that invoice the next day and send an invoice out. And let me tell you what, an invoice isn't. An invoice is not an Xactimate printout. So many people print out that Xactimate and they ship it off to the adjuster. And then they sit here like this, la, 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 la. Why haven't I been paid? Why haven't I been paid? You haven't been paid because you haven't told anyone that they owe you any money. You're assuming, back to rule number one, you're assuming people are going to do the right thing by you. But they're not going to do the right thing unless you force them to do the right thing. The only way to collect your money is to actually send a bill. Send a bill, not an Xactimate. Xactimate's not a billing platform. It's not your accounting platform. It's going to be QuickBooks. It's going to be something else. Send that invoice. Send that invoice the next day. That's what we do at QuickCheck. We enable you to do that because we are that quick and we are that accurate. And then guess what? After that, you get to tell your client, hey, you better pay me. You better send this invoice over to your adjuster and you got to get me paid. If you never invoice your client can never step up for you. They can't go to bat for you because they don't have any ammunition. You got to give them that ammunition. You've got to show that they've got to prove to their adjuster that the cost's been incurred. How else do you prove that the cost has been incurred without an invoice? So put together an invoice and send it to your client. They need to receive it. The best process is you send a paper invoice. You send it in the mail, put a stamp on that mofo, and get it out the door. Yeah, you can follow up with an email, but sending somebody told me this now this I don't know if it's an analogy or not, but they're like, I want you to hope in one hand and poop in the other, and tell me which hand fills up first. Right? You can't just hope that these things are going to happen. You can't just send an Xactimate to an adjuster or a Wardlaw or an AccuServe and hope that you're going to get paid. No, you have to send a bill. All good things happen after you send a bill. And that's the first thing I require at QuickCheck. Something comes in the door. I say, okay, where's the invoice? Well, I don't have one. Well, I can't help you. I'm sorry. I can't charge late fees on a non-invoice. Right? You go to file a lien. What are they going to say? Well, what do they owe you? How much are you owed? Well, I'm owed this Xactimate. Well, it's not an invoice. It's just a wish list. An Xactimate's a wish list. And if you send an Xactimate to an adjuster, you're asking them, you're begging them to beat you up. You're begging them to take that number and reduce it because you're giving them the ammunition, but you haven't followed up with an invoice. Okay, I think I beat that one to death. All right, come back over here. Number 3. This is one of my favorite things. So I don't know if any of y'all have seen the Rebel Replies GPT over in ChatGPT, but it's getting pretty damn good. So one of the canned responses that's baked into the Chat GPT, the GPT Rebel Replies, is replying back to this. So I like I said, I see Wardlaw, I see AccuServe, I see JS Held, I see Fast Team. All these guys are sending letters to my clients all day, every day. And my clients are going, hey, Andy, I don't know what to say here. And QuickCheck, again, we respond. So, so many times these yahoos say, per industry standard, blah, blah. But they never quote the standard. And even if they do, they mention the S500. They usually misquote it or just plant the name. So what they're doing is they're saying it's industry standard, blah, blah, but they're not actually quoting any kind of standard. So saying industry standard doesn't make it standard. An industry standard is printed, it's published, it's public, and it's publicly searchable and publicly available. The S500 is publicly available. I can look through the S500. I can turn those pages. The International Building Code, I can find those standards. My local building codes, I can find those standards. What I can't find is reasonable and customary industry standard. When you read industry standard, per industry standard, I want you to think, well, that's a hope. That's a hope in one hand. I'm going to go shit in this other hand. All right, that was a stretch. I don't know. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. So pushback, one of my main tools in my arsenal on the claims support side of what I do every day is I just kick it back to them. I say, okay, you said XYZ was industry standard. Can you show me that standard? Can you show me what page of the S500 that is on? Can you show me where that rule exists so I can go look it up for myself? And it's crickets, right? They don't know what to do with it. These guys are not used to pushback. They're used to us just folding over, folks. So don't do that. Don't fold. Don't just lay down. Fight back. Because if anyone should know the standard, it's us. If anyone should know those things forward and backward and be able to quote them, that's us. So put it back on them. Wardlaw says that's not industry standard. Okay, what standard are you referring to? Can you show that to me, please? And that's baked into the rebel replies. Okay. And number 4. I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, but here it is. Xactimate is not an invoicing platform. You send a printout, a document from Xactimate. Guess what it's screaming? Estimate. Estimate. You send an Xactimate to any adjuster, it's saying, oh, well, this is a starting point for negotiations, right? Your invoices should come from your invoicing software. You should be recognizing that revenue if you're operating on an accrual basis. When that invoice goes out, that revenue is recognized, right? Your accountant, your CPA is going to go, he's going to go, man, we got a lot of revenue hanging out there in receivables. That changes everything. Once it's a receivable, you can get real serious about collections. You can get real down and dirty, but it's never going to make it to your receivables unless you make it into an invoice. Nobody has their QuickBooks tied into their Xactimate. There's a reason for that, okay? Probably more than one reason for that. So yeah, as it says here, absolutely send the invoice and use that Xactimate as a backup, as an addendum, as color commentary to that invoice. But the number on that invoice is what matters. The date due is what matters. All right. All right. I think I beat that one to death. What else do I have lined up here? Yeah, let me see here. It's all on my desktop now. Okay. Okay. And this is the other thing when it comes back to defending and collecting, right? I have never in my career had a third party reviewer come back with a comp that was higher than mine, than my original invoice or my original bid. Ever. And every now and then I'll ask these guys, hey, have you ever done one of these reviews and actually added money to the claim? Ever? They do not like answering that question. So it comes down to this. Good collection starts with a philosophy of you are owed this money. If you don't believe you are owed that money, don't put it on an invoice. Right? There's a lot of guys out there just throwing shit at the wall. Right? That's how we got here. People just throwing shit at the wall, see what sticks. They know full well they've bloated this thing by 100%. So of course they're prepared to take 50 cents on a dollar. Right? That's how we got here, folks. Those people are the problem. Right? The ward laws are not necessarily the problem. The ward laws are a symptom of the problem. The reward laws are a result of us not policing our side of the tracks adequately and letting bad actors persist. We don't do that here in the Rebels, right? Somebody shows up and they show their true colors and they're a bad actor, they're gone. Banhammer, baby, gone. Because we can't put up with it. We just simply can't abide. Dude will not abide. Okay? So I think I covered. What else can I talk to you about collections? It's a mindset. It's either you're owed it or you're not. And if you're not owed it, don't put it on an invoice. An invoice is not a wish list. An invoice is not a starting point for negotiations. An invoice is an invoice. Plain and simple. Period. And there's another one that I wanted to bring up. Maybe it's here. Yeah. I would advocate that and I've said this before when people ask me about invoicing and estimating and how to bill customers and blah, 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 blah. I advocate you act as if you build your company, you build your restoration company around the concept that there is no insurance company. Act as if there is no adjuster, and then do what's right. Act as if there is no insurance policy behind paying for this claim, and then do what's right. It's amazing when you do that mental exercise of what if there was no insurance company? How many of you out there, I won't ask you to raise your hands, how many of you out there, if it was a self-pay job, you're actually going to charge less? There's Joe. Joe's going to get on this action right here. So how are the, oh, you're muted. How are the old men, Joe? Are they fighting yet? Are they arm wrestling yet?
Are we fighting an arm? Well,
No,
I'm
still
coming out.
nothing. You got to figure out your audio. So let me finish my thought here. You're just because they don't have coverage for something, or just because they don't have enough coverage for the loss, should not affect your bill, should not affect your estimate, your bid. And if it does, you've got a problem with your internals. You've got a problem with your calibration, bros and sisters, because there should be no difference between the work you do on an insurance claim and the work you do that's not covered on an insurance claim. The price should be the same. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the folks that get themselves caught in court, and then it comes out that they have essentially two different price lists, and they're charging carriers more than if there was no carrier involved. Guess what that is? That's called fraud, people. You don't want to get caught doing that. So just because the policy doesn't have enough coverage or excludes something doesn't mean that something doesn't need to be done, and doesn't mean you can't charge for it. All right? I'm going to stop my screen share. Get to Joseph. There he is.
Why do you do that? Why do you do that?
Going to Black Hat today, huh? I am standing by. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to get, let's answer Pete's question. Any ideas and advice on obtaining new leads? Florida. Okay, well, there's the usual suspects. There's 33-mile radius and all those other referral sources. There's your own SEO and marketing. Getting direct first notice of loss. That's always a good move. Go to plumbers. That's expensive. $1,500, $2,000.
I will say I've always liked them
depending on your. I'm listening. I'm waiting for you, Joe.
Can you hear me?
Your lips are moving. I hear it. Nope. Still can't hear you. So what else? Getting new leads. Let me tell you. I know I'm going to get burned at the stake on this. I'll let you know. I'm keeping my ears open. I'm keeping my ears peeled here, Joe. I'll let you know when I hear something from you. I'm going to get burned at the stake for this, but I had a conversation with a rebel, an old school rebel, like 5 years ago rebel.
Testing.
I met him at the Contractor Connection show. We had a great conversation. And he said, okay, no plumber referrals. Okay, X that out. Okay. This guy said he makes well in excess of 70% margins, gross margins, on a per job basis on mitigation inside the program. What if I click unmute? Let's see. Try that.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, nothing. Is it me? Is it me? It's not you, Joe. It's me.
Is it me you're looking for?
I can tell you're. I mean, you're very animated.
Testing.
Do bad
Testing.
lip reading.
What in the
40.
world?
Howdy, yowdy, howdy. I'm sorry. Okay, back to the Rebel. He's making well in excess of 70% margins on mitigation within the contractor connection program. He's making well in excess of 45% margins on repairs within the contractor connection program. So you're talking about referrals. What is, at the end of the day, what is the one good thing about TPA work?
Keeps the lights on.
You get those leads coming in the door every single day. And this guy's, sorry, Joe. I know it's hard. Life is hard.
Cut it out.
All right, Joe. Good to see you. Good to see you. I know your heart's in the right place. So, all right, enjoy the debate. So programs can be obviously verifiably a valid source of leads and work. All right. The problem is when the program starts working you instead of you working the program. Okay. What else? I am a huge advocate of strategic partnerships. One of the most successful strategic partnerships I was ever a part of was early in my career, my first job in restoration. It was the most successful threesome I've ever been in my life. There's a restoration contractor that does nothing but contents and mitigation. Okay? Contents, mitigation, dirty stuff. They did crime scene cleanup and everything else. Restoration company that only did residential repairs. Okay? And a restoration company that only did commercial work, commercial repairs. Any mitigation that commercial contractor got went to my company. Any mitigation the residential contractor got went to my company. But every loss that we responded to on mitigation had a lead to go to one of these two companies. And for close to 20 years, it was unbeatable. That triad was unbeatable in the Portland, Oregon market. So what happened? Okay, I'm gonna come. You're asking questions now. I don't know Eberls. I don't know them. I'm sure someone in the group has an opinion, and I'm sure they'll share it soon enough. And well, I can't help that. They do take time. Contract connection does take time because a large part of what they do is there's a word for it, compliance. They want to verify that you're legit. They want to verify that you can actually come through and deliver for their insurance company clients. But at the end of the day, so I did get to sit down with Mr. Mark Watley last week. And while we keep most of what we say between us on the deep DL, I can say a little bit. And right now, as it stands nationally, the market penetration of programs is hovering a little bit below 20%. All right. That means only 20% or less of all the claims out there are going to be run through a program. I know it feels like more, right? It feels like more. Especially if you're on the programs. But guess what? They're backing you into the programs, even if you get it with your own marketing. That's a different deal. Okay. 33-mile radius is, I'll talk about it in a second. So right now, market penetration programs is about 20%, a little less. But as we advance, as AI starts to take over, as computers start doing more and more of this, there's a point in the near future where a program is going to be 33, 35%. And I want to say near future, I say 2 years from now. And part of that mix, part of that move is going to include a vast reduction in middlemen, vast reduction in adjusters, vast reduction in estimating, because the carriers are running at breakneck speed towards this AI nirvana of then there's no more estimates. We're going to write the estimate within 6 hours or 2 hours of notice of loss. We're going to gather the data and we're going to write that estimate. We're going to pay these claims. They're going to be gone. We need to be prepared for that as contractors. We need to be aware of that. And my business hat says if TPAs are going to be have more and more share of the market, if I want to be in that market 2 years from now, 3 years from now, maybe I need to mix some TPA work into my mix. Not go full bore, not go 100%, but maybe I need to mix, sprinkle it in a little bit. So, all right, 33-mile radius. I'm probably going to get a cease and desist or some sort of nasty letter for saying this, but 33-mile radius is robbing restorers. And I'll tell you how. What they do is they get really good at setting up websites and SEO. When you sign up with them, you actually have to link your website with their website. And what are they doing? They're stealing your SEO juice. They're stealing your market presence in order to get leads, to sell those leads back to you. But that's not where it stops. They get the leads based on their SEO, sure, and your SEO, boo, and they sell those leads to you and your neighbor and your neighbor and your neighbor, right? They'll resell these leads 4 or 5 times. Yeah, you got 4 or 5 contractors calling the same person, and it becomes a race, right? Who gets there first to sign them up, right? You're paying for this lead that they're reselling to other people, and it's not even a guaranteed job. So that's my problem with 33-mile radius and other folks that do that sort of thing. Is I just think it's fundamentally dishonest. And if you're going to go 33-mile radius, do it until you don't have to. Do it until you can build up your own local SEO, build up your own local marketing, build up your own Google Guaranteed, which is another one. Google Guaranteed is great. It's all you. It's controlled by you. It's your SEO juice. It's your domain authority, right? 33-mile radius, you're just diluting your own domain authority in your own market, which is counter to doing any marketing in your market on the web. So I started down the power triad of companies that I worked with early in my career. That getting a strategic partnership with a restorer, so you do mitigation, they only do repairs, perfect. Just sit down with them, shake their hand, and say, hey, you know what? I won't do repairs, right? If you're a mitigator, I promise you I won't do repairs in this market, and I'm going to give every repair that I get to you. And you get some sort of assurance from him. All right, I won't do mitigation in this market. When I get these mitigation leads, they're going to go to you, right? You can start playing off each other. You can build a friendly. That's if you're truly not doing, if there's no overlap in your services, cooperating in that way is not colluding because you offer different services, right? At least that's my non-lawyer. That's how my non-lawyer brain works. But don't put anything on paper. Don't make it a contract. Don't make it anyone contractually obligated to give you leads, and don't pay them for those leads. That's where we went wrong with plumbers. We started paying these plumbers, and plumbers are not dumb, right? They might have plumber's crack, but they're not unintelligent. They saw the money, and it wasn't very long before they started playing us against each other. Well, he gives me 800. Well, he gives me 1,000. He gives me 10%. Blah, blah. It's just a fucking race to the bottom. And then lo and behold, Roto-Rooter is now doing mitigation. Who gave them that idea? Huh? So yeah, the rise of the plumber mitigator is our fault, people. We shouldn't have ever done that. But that goes both ways. I know a lot of restorers that are opening plumbing shops. Good on you. All right. That's fighting fire with fire. Why not? The future is service companies that are fully vertically integrated. The future is full of service companies that offer soup to nuts type services. OP Alvarez put it this way: he wants to own the house, right? He does this allied perimeter defense. I think it's allied defense, and it's a product where they come out and they pre-spray a fire retardant. And I'm sorry, OP, I'm butchering this. It'll be better when I put out the podcast. It's a fire preventative measure, right? But if you're going to go out there and spray the shrubberies with this fire retardant stuff, what else can you do? Oh, you can fireproof the gutters. You can do landscaping and get that five. I think there's a 5 feet or 5 meter defense zone, right? You can cut trees. You can do all kinds of things while you're there doing this spraying for defense stuff. And I'm sorry, OP, I apologize again. I'll put a link in the group if y'all want to become a franchisee of this. I think he's onto a really genius path to owning the home. And he's actively looking for other folks in other markets. So that's that. I think I've talked for 45 minutes straight. I'm getting kind of hoarse. So, Pete, did we beat that horse for you? Does anyone out there have questions regarding collections, or questions regarding Wardlaw or Fast Team? Or I'm telling you what, if you're not on ChatGPT, just go get it. It doesn't cost you anything. You can use the Rebel Replies GPT for free, right? You don't have to be a paying member. You used to be, and now you don't have to be. Let me show you this just in case everyone wants to know. Window, share here. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. When you're in there, you're not going to see everything on the left-hand side. All you're going to see is this and Explore GPTs. All you got to do is hit Explore GPTs and then search for Rebel Replies. That's it, and you'll get there. It is literally that easy. You can hit start if you want, or you can just copy and paste an entire email thread in here, and it'll generate responses that are just dialed. Part of the training is the S500. Part of the training is the RIA white papers. Part of the training is Verisk white papers on OMP. It's good. It is that good. So, Mr. Santiago, I'm going to need to do some homework and look into obtaining leads. Property managers. A lot of folks, and that's what the big boys are doing now. The Belfours and the Blue Skies and the big conglomerates, they chase commercial. They chase. You want to go after whoever has the most square feet under management in your market. And who is that going to be? It's going to be apartments. It's going to be offices. So the more square feet you have under management, the more likely you are to have a loss in any given year. That's what it comes down to. So property managers, they suck doing, everyday retail work for, but sometimes it's worth it taking a crappy carpet cleaning contract with a building or 20 in order to be the first guy there when bad stuff happens. I've done a lot of work where that company I was working for did carpet cleaning at a facility, and then that facility had a loss, and who'd they call first? The guy that cleans the carpets. And we're first in the door and we're off to the races. So it's very viable. But the short term, I had a guy on a horn earlier this week. You do everything. You do whatever you got to do to keep the lights on. Right? If you got to go door to door to restorers and say, "Hey, can I be a sub?" Right? Pete, I don't know what your key business is. I don't know if you're mitigation or repairs or something more specialized, but you got to do what you got to do. We got to when it comes down to it, you got to hustle. You got to hustle. You got to make shit happen. That's what I do. I just make shit happen. No, not a lot of people agree with my methods sometimes, but I think no one can argue that I'm getting shit done. I am making it happen. Okay, so you work for okay. I don't know if they want me putting you on blast like that. Okay, I see who you work for. All right. The good company. We got QuickCheck has some great clients on that side, in part of that franchise, and so you work for them, but you don't own the franchise, huh? So I'm curious why the franchise isn't getting you more leads or working to do what they. Yeah, you must be a newer franchise or something for Contract Connection to not be picking you up, because I thought they would just pick you up just because you had, you're a green truck, but whatever. Let's read the mail here for the last 10 minutes of the Restoration Rebel Round Table. Let's just keep going down here. What's this say? Oh wait, this feels like that feels spammy, Wes. An hour ago, that feels like a sales. Sorry, Wes. We just don't accept. We don't accept advertising unless you want to pay for it. I am willing to sell spots in the Restoration Rebel page for a fee for vetted companies that want to advertise with us. I am at that point now. I really, really, really want to start the Restoration Roadshow in earnest. Oh, by the way, we are sitting at how many members? I mean, drill down. We are so close. 9,921 members, folks. We are 79 members away from 10,000. I don't know what happens at 10,000. I don't know if Zuckerberg comes to your house and gives you a cake and blows out a candle or some shit. I don't know. But 10,000 just feels like a big, nice, awesome number. Who do you guys use for GPS tracking? Well, Kahi. That's it. Kahi. That's all you need to know. Hey, yeah, Kahi. That's it. Any recommendation for a good CPA out of Washington State? Great question. Anyone know anybody? I do not. I do not live there. Okay. How do you store? Hold on. I'm making sure there's no comments over here. Nope. How do you store your PAPRs? How do you clean them? Instructional tips and tricks. Okay, Milton. What are you getting at here? Yeah, how do you store one? They don't have boxes they put them in? I guess not. They're kind of a big thing, though. They have the compressor and the hose and the full face and the... Yeah, how do you do that? And he does it in bags. Okay. 3M TR600. Clean with MetaClean. Okay, good advice. Give me something juicy here, Rebels. Can you tell me how to... No. I hope someone gives you a good answer. Don't let people give you a hard time for that, but I'm just not in the mood to go down the retail soot cleanup today. Have a customers paid directly by the insurance, even though we had direct pay. Said customer has spent the money. Oh boy. Well, there is very little. There's very little weight in a direct pay agreement. There's a lot of weight in assignment of benefits. All right. So again, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a contract guy, but my understanding is most direct pay agreements are voluntarily adhered to by carriers. AOB is a different story. Assignment benefits is a different story. But this customer is asking to be sued, right? I don't know if you have any recourse here against the carrier. But again, ask an attorney, get an attorney. But I would definitely lean it. Yeah. Ed Van Dyke, I'm with you. Lean the crap out of that house. For sale, yeah, I'm just not a fan of turning I just don't want to turn our entire page into Facebook Marketplace. Okay. Question: what's y'all's opinion on dumping fire sprinkler extracted water off? What? I've never done it, but peep someone else that did. I would, yeah. I'm with Jeff here. Yeah. Okay. Hiring. Okay, we'll leave the hiring posts up. If you're in Knoxville, hit this guy up. What is this, Doug? What is this, Doug? What are we looking at? Oh, Doug's the rug guy. Okay. You want to know something about rugs? Just hit up Doug. 6 minutes left. I feel like I'm grinding. Am I grinding? Should I just call it, folks? I don't need to keep going here. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking and there's only 2 people watching anyway. Let's see here. Who here has a custom price list in Xactimate and shares that list with carriers? What are the pros and cons? That is a great question. Okay, first off, I think I'm a huge fan of sharing whatever you have with the adjuster, right? If they're asking for an ESX file, give it to them. Because guess what? Now they're operating off of your work product. They're operating off of your paper. I love that. I had a JS Held guy come back last week. He never even bothered to change the name of the estimate. Now, sorry, bid. We're not using the word estimate anymore. We're using bid. He didn't even change the name of the bid. He left it the same, but he just murdered it. So something like that goes legal. That's going to look really bad on JS Held, and it just eliminates all their credibility. Zero credibility. We knew exactly what his plan was, and then he just did it. So I was like, oh, not surprised. Okay, I don't think there'd be a problem. I would imagine none of them would even know where to look to see the price. Okay, valid point, Mr. Walker. In price list in particular, I have never had an adjuster that was able to use it. Like, these guys are restricted pretty heavily on what the basis of their pricing can be. But I would offer it to them. Absolutely. I'll send them that price list, that PLX file all day long. But that begs another question. Why? Why do we have to justify our pricing? Our pricing is our pricing. Whatever the carrier comes up with, or whatever the ward law comes up with, is to quote the dude, it's like their opinion, man. It's not, it doesn't hold any weight. You are the contractor. You're giving a bid. Your bid is valid. Their estimate is not valid. They want it to be. They want you to pretend like it is. They want you to give credence to it. But at the end of the day, they're not the licensed contractor in that state. They're not the ones that have to do that work. They're just trying to get the job done for a whole lot less. So I would offer to share it. I'd be shocked and amazed if any carrier or any adjuster accepted it and actually used it. More often than not, it comes up in appraisal. It comes up in depositions. It comes up in courts. Well, why'd you lose that price list? And it's such an easy answer. Because that's our pricing. Now, there's only a problem if you're charging different prices for insurance claims versus non-insurance claims, right? That's where people got, I alluded to that earlier, people get in trouble when they run in two different price lists. So if you're running a custom price list, that is your price list in your market, period. Doesn't change depending on who you're working for, right? It doesn't change depending on who you're working for, people. So yeah, I don't think it'd be a problem. I just say price list, ESX file, whatever. I'll share it all, man. It's yours. It's yours. Now, if this came up today doing an inspection, if you are, yeah, we're right about time here. How often do you get asked to go out and give a bid for free, right? Whether it's a customer or an adjuster. Yeah, and program guys, I'm sorry, this is one of the bad things about programs. You're on the hook. Lions Bridge, you're required to go give an estimate whether or not you're going to get the job or not. But if you're not required to legally or contractually, you need to charge for that. Because at the end of the day, if you give somebody something and you don't charge them anything, well, guess what? You just set the value at zero, right? When someone doesn't pay for something or doesn't there's no exchange there, the value of that thing they're getting, it doesn't matter how big the number is. You write $100,000 estimate for somebody, but you don't charge them. Guess how much that estimate is worth to them? Zero, because they didn't have to pay for it. So don't give away your worth for free. Charge people for it. There's Tim Fuller in this group. When he starts getting in arguments back and forth and with these TPAs and whatnot, he says right up front, hey, I am more than happy to do this dance with you. I really am. But my rate is $175 an hour. If you want me to do all these revisions and back and forth and make these phone calls and these emails and spend this time with you negotiating this thing out, I will do that for $175 an hour. And Tim has charged it and he's been paid it. So, you want, I didn't use Xactimate, but now you want me to put it in Xactimate? Well, I think it's going to take about 5 hours of my time at $175 an hour. Do you still want that in Xactimate? The amazing thing is they say yes because they don't know how to read anything but Xactimate. And here's the other amazing thing. 9 times out of 10, if I work something up on a T&M or work something up on my own paper without Xactimate, and then they say we need it in Xactimate, the number ends up higher. So they're asking for it, but I'm not going to do it for free. I'm never going to do anything for free. My days of doing things for free are over, people. No good deed goes unpunished. It really doesn't. So don't give it away. I think that's a good one to end on. Thanks for your input there, Justin. We're still going to go on a 2-week. We're going to go 2 weeks. So not next week. Next week, Thursday is Independence Day. All right. Rah. Shoot some stuff off. Blow some stuff up. Don't lose any fingers in the meantime. And then we'll see you the week after that. In the meantime, keep an eye, your eyes and ears peeled for the podcast episodes coming out. And again, if you think the Restoration Roadshow is a good idea, if you want to hear personal, heartfelt stories from restorers who are just like you across this country, I need sponsors. I need sponsors for that podcast. I need some money in order to do that. And sponsors are the best way to do that. And, just tell them, hey, their name could be up here instead of in Circle, or up here instead of Quick Check. Yeah. Or, heck, I'll wear a hat. Dude, I will NASCAR myself out like a mofo. I'll do it, man. I'll be wearing bandanas and sleeves and everything else. I'll put it in my truck. That's what I should sell. I should sell panels on my truck. That's what I'm going to do. Anyway, hope you all doing well. Hey, let me tell you something a little more personal here. and this came up it just came up this week. Somebody said, if you were on my mind, if you cross my mind 3 times in, in a couple weeks or whatever, if you cross my mind 3 times, I'm going to reach out. So if there's somebody that's been on your mind, don't let another day go by without reaching out. Just call them. Don't email them. Don't DM them. Call them. Say, hey, bro, I don't know, but I just think about you. I want to check in. How you doing? It's gonna be good for you. It's gonna be good for them. Yeah, when I've done this, and I haven't been always great about it, but I've done this, and what's crazy is I don't want to get metaphysical or anything on you, but the universe does speak to us. There's an energy, there's an underlying resonance sometimes. And when I've done this, I called, I'll call the guy and say, hey man, I don't know what it is, but just thinking about you. Just want to check in. And I've had a guy just start breaking down right there, right? I'm a good friend. And he's like, man, you have no idea. You have no idea how much this means to me because I'm going through some shit. I'm going through XYZ. So if somebody is crossing your mind, there's a reason for it. So lean into that shit and just pick up the phone. So be good, rebels. We'll see you next time.